Welcome to the screencast on adding and subtracting positive and negative fractions. So first thing to get started, a note about denominators. Let's say I've got half of this rectangle. Let's say this rectangle is like a chocolate bar. Something good, something we want to divide amongst me and my friends. So there's half of that chocolate bar. And let's say I've got another equally sized chocolate bar, but I've only got a third of it. So I split it into 3 equal pieces. There's my third. If I want to put those 2 pieces together, if I want to add my half to my third, I need to get a common denominator. Think of denominators kind of like units. If your units are different, it makes it very challenging to put your 2 quantities together. This would be like trying to add meters and yards, or miles and kilometers. I want to have the same units. So if I take that half and I split it into smaller pieces, if I divide each half into thirds, I now have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And of those 6, I have these 3 shaded parts out of 6. So I can see that 1/2 is in fact equal to 3/6. I could also split this guy up into 6 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and what was once a third is now 2 of my 6 pieces, so I can see that 1/3 is in fact 2/6. So if I've got my 3/6 and my 2/6, I now have common units, right? This is like having feet and feet, or centimeters and centimeters. Now I can put it all together and just say that I've got a total of 5 of those units, a total of 5/6. And if I try to put all my 6 into one little divided chocolate bar here, I can grab 1, 2, 3 from here. So there's 1, 2, 3, and I can grab 2 of these. They're not going to fit the same way, but they still fit. And there are 5 of my 6 pieces. All right, since we're also going to work with negatives, I want to make a note about negative fractions. My note is this: the fraction -1/2. I can express that 3 equivalent ways that could be useful. I could express it as -1 all over 2, same meaning. I could also express it as 1 all over -2, same meaning. The reason for that, one way to remember, is that a fraction bar is also a division sign. And I remember from my integer rules that a positive divided by a negative gives me a negative quotient. Similarly, a negative divided by a positive also gives me a negative quotient. So these are all equivalent. So let's try an example where we actually add a negative fraction to a positive fraction. So I'm going to do -2/5 plus 3/10. So same deal as up above, I need a common denominator. I see I have fifths and tenths, so my denominator that I'm going to go for is tenths. There are 2 groups of 5 and 10, so I want to double 5 to get 10. I'm going to double 2 to get 4, and I'm actually going to bring this up here so that when I have to add my numerators together, I can treat that like a -4. 3/10 stays the same. And the way this works, if I have 4 negative tenths and 3 positive tenths, then my total value there is going to be -1/10. You can write that as -1 all over 10, or you can be real careful and write it as -1 over 10. So it's kind of a long journey to get from here all the way to there, but there's our steps. You can pause and rewind if you need to. Let's do one more example. We're going to take some mixed numbers and do some subtraction. So I'm going to do -5 and 5/6. I'm going to subtract -4 and 3/4. All right, here we go. A useful strategy here would be to turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions. To do that, I'm going to sort of ignore this negative just for a moment. I'm going to say 6 times 5 is 30, plus 5 is 35. So I get 35/6. The whole thing's negative, but I'm going to make the numerator negative. It's going to make it easier for me to combine later. Here we go, subtracting a negative. Remember that I can add the opposite, which is going to give me addition of a positive number. I've got 4 and 3/4, so to make an improper fraction, I'm going to say 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19, so I have 19/6. No, I don't. I have 19/4. I wish I had 19/6. It'd make this problem a little simpler. I need a common denominator. I've got 6/4. There's lots of multiples that will work, but the smallest is going to be 12. So I'm going to double this to get 12 on the bottom, and whatever happens on top, I'm going to need 3 of these to get 12 in the denominator, and whatever that gets me on top. Here we go. Negative 35 times 2 is negative 70. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 19 times 3, well, let's see, 20 times 3 is 60. Take away a group of 3, that's 57. And that's 12 also. Running out of horizontal space, so I'm going to continue right down here. I'm going to do negative 70 plus 57, all out of 12. Negative 70 plus 57. Well, 57 of these positives will cancel out 57 of those negatives. I'll have no positives left, and I'll have some amount of negatives left. Let's think about that. If I had 60 positives, I'd have 10 negatives. But I have less positives, so I should have more negatives. So I think that that's negative 13/12. You can check me on that. If it is in fact negative 13/12, I could go one extra step, put this back to a mixed number. I know the whole thing's going to be negative. 12 goes into 13 once with 1 left over. So that is negative 1 1/12. What a journey that was from here all the way down to there. But you've got the video. You can pause, rewind, hear my steps again. This has been my screencast on adding and subtracting positive and negative fractions. Thanks for watching.